building, the tension's building. This is your grand final to decide the champion.
Still in there. Tournament point. EXP back kick. Oh, jab, jab.
The best Street Fighter V player in the world.
Welcome to the World Warriors of Capcom Cup. My name is Ultra David.
And I am James Chen. How's everybody going?
Today we're going to start talking about the players. That's what this is all about, of course.
Yes. Without the players, there's basically no Capcom Cup, and these are the guys that have been fighting it out for the entire year to make it to this spot. So they definitely deserve just a little bit of limelight.
I would say so. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a couple of different episodes looking at the players. In years past, we have taken one episode per player, but this time we're going to condense it a little bit, and we're going to take a look in this video at the top half of the bracket. We're going to have another video where we look at the bottom half as well.
That's right. So we're just going to go through each of the players one by one, just talk a little bit about them, you know, talk about how we think they're going to do, and just maybe even give you a little bit of information that you might not have known about for each player.
For sure. So right up at the top, right, the seedings are done based on your points during the year. And no surprise, the person who has the most points, aka the first seed in this whole bracket, is Punk.
Yes.
All right? PG Punk. He had a fantastic year. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah, and it's funny too because I still remember at the end of last year you had predicted that, you know, you were like, I'm going to predict him as the guy who's going to win Capcom Cup, and he's kind of on that track at least, you know.
Here's the thing. His rise was so meteoric. He was an okay player in Street Fighter 4, but not great.
He was like an online kind of trolley player,
you know. And then in Street Fighter 5, he started to win some locals in Philadelphia, and then all of a sudden, he went from that to doing very well at Red Bull Battleground, and then winning, I think NEC it was right after that.
Yeah.
And the rise was too fast. You had to catch that train, and he was just like nobody else.
Right, and then in 2017, this year, once everything got started, you know, very similar to kind of how Infiltration had that instant start last year, Punk kind of had that start this year and was just winning a bunch of things.
Yeah, but he's kept it up. And in fact, he not only is first place overall in points, but he made 21 grand finals.
21 grand finals.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
You know, and we're not even talking about NLBC weeklies or anything
right,
like that.
Yeah. These are actual events and premieres, including EVO.
Including EVO.
Yeah, of course and you know, it's funny because he got second place at EVO, and they called that a disappointment. You know, like not performing to what expectations. I mean, oh, you didn't win the biggest tournament in the year, man.
But that said, he was disappointed.
Yeah, exactly.
And many people did predict him to win it. They expected it. So that he had that kind of an expectation, and then still got to grand finals. You know, not easy to come in with that kind of expectation and then actually do that well.
He didn't lose a game up until grand finals when he fought Tokido.
That's right.
He did not drop a single game. He was undefeated up to that point.
With thousands of people in the tournament.
Ridiculous.
So, he comes into Capcom Cup. I feel there's no other way to put it that he's the favorite.
Yeah, I agree. But you know, as last year, so the thing that I'm always worried about is, you know, coming in as the favorite. It's always a little rough. I don't remember last year, Infiltration, Tokido, the two strongest players like throughout the year. We're 0-2, you know.
Did terrible Capcom Cups.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen to Punk. I don't think that's going to happen to Punk, but there is going to be that factor. He's still very young.
Sure.
And early in the year, I remember he lost a tournament very early on in the year and looked very disappointed. And then, you know, at EVO, you could tell he kind of lost a little bit of confidence as Tokido started beating him. I'm hoping... I pin a lot of that on youth, but I also think that those two losses that created that disappointment are going to be what's going to fuel him even stronger here. He'll remember those, and he's gonna make sure that doesn't happen again.
I think you're right, but we'll see. Now his opponent will be whoever wins the last chance qualifier.
Right.
So can't really talk about that yet. Of course, we don't know who it is.
Right.
But we'll find out.
Like literally the weekend of Capcom Cup. So.
Exactly. Now let's also talk though about the next matchup, which is DAIGO versus Brolimio.
Interesting.
So, of course, DAIGO is one of the best-known fighting game players in the entire world. Has been for decades.
The Beast.
Yes, exactly right. Really among the best players ever in a host of different games. Street Fighters, from Street Fighter 2 all the way through.
Right.
He's been one of the best. Continues to be very strong.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, his status is legendary at this point in time. I always talk about, everyone talks about the DAIGO parry moment, right? But what made the DAIGO parry moment, the Evo moment 37, so remarkable is that he had that reputation already as being just like this, larger than life kind of thing. And, whenever you meet them in person and in real life, it doesn't always necessarily pan out. And then he came to the U.S. and, he parries Justin Super and beats him, and it just lived up to everything, all the talk about him, and it just cemented him as being one of the true heroes in the FGC. Yeah,
and although his year wasn't as strong as I think he would want it to, keep in mind he made Grand Finals of Capcom Cup at the end of Street Fighter 4 just a couple of years ago. So this year was not as strong. It was good, but not as strong. So we'll see if he can mount that in Capcom Cup.
Right. He started with Ryu. This year, when it came out, a lot of people saw the balance changes to Ryu, and were like, "Oh my God, this character is much weaker than before." DAIGO said, "I'm going to stick with this character. I'm just going to do it," and that didn't last very long.
No. So he's been playing Guile, and it's been doing better for him.
Yeah, he's been doing a lot better, and also just recently too, he had his book come out, and he had a manga came out. But the book is really interesting because the thing is, being a legend like DAIGO, everyone probably expects that he was born just amazing at Street Fighter. It was really interesting to read a lot about his growing up and how much work he really did have to put into it. And so it's a good lesson for potential future champions.
Okay, all right. Let's talk about Brolinho from Brazil playing the Kali.
Yes, that's right. He made a splash last year. And in fact, every year at Capcom Cup there's been one Brazilian player who has been able to make it in there. And last year was Brolinho. So he is the first Brazilian player to make it to 2 Capcom Cups now. And he came in last year and then went to Red Bull Battleground. I'm sorry, not Red Bull, the ESL Brooklyn Beatdown is what it was. And remember, he beat Infiltration there. He made top 8. He played really well at that event.
No, he's not somebody that anyone underestimates. He's beaten some of the best players in the world in the past. He's got another chance to do it here. He actually played against DAIGO. They had a match last year in Capcom Cup. DAIGO won at 3-0. But, we'll see what happens this time.
Yeah, it's going to be very different characters as well.
Of course,
so, because DAIGO's changed to Guile.
Different trajectories for the players as well, so we'll see. The next match is Kazunoko versus Big Bird.
Ooh.
Very interesting. So, Kazunoko from Japan, of course. This is a guy who has been one of the best in the world in multiple different games. He picked up Street Fighter 4 about midway through, and he, by the end of it, was one of the best. Of course, he won the last Capcom Cup in Street Fighter 4.
Yeah, and then made 3rd place the next year. So literally 2 years in a row now, he's been in top 3, 1st place and 3rd place.
Right.
And largely due to a lot of his erratic play style. I mean, people like to talk about... You can't predict what he's going to do.
Right.
At the Red Bull event that just took place in...
Tower of Pride.
He won it by waking up with crouch medium kick to beat a shimmy into V-trigger and defeated Luffy. And it was just like the craziest call out.
That's one of the tools. And one thing that I really like about Kazunoko's playstyle is that he uses all of the tools. Something he did in Street Fighter 4 very much. Without safety of Dragon Punch FADC, because the character Yun didn't have that. So he just had to do the right stuff. And guess what? He very typically tends to. So his year, this year, was a little bit less consistent than previously, but of course he did just win Tower of Pride. Like you said, it gets really stacked competition. So I think he's in pretty good position.
Yeah, he's getting himself for another top 3 finish, maybe.
We'll see. Then Big Bird from living in the United Arab Emirates, playing Ken, but maybe not. Maybe not. Now, he's a young player. At the end of Street Fighter 4, he was strong. It's been hard for him to travel, living in the Middle East. Not as many large events around, but when he does travel, he does extremely well. Of course, he made Capcom Cup here, despite the fact that there's not many events anywhere near him.
Yeah,
and so he was top 8 at everything he attended, except for 3 events. and pretty good record.
Yeah, honestly, he's one of the players that I'm most excited about, because I know he's one of those players that, like you said, just has the difficulty getting around, and the fact that he made it to Capcom Cup, I think, is awesome. But then at that same Red Bull Tower of Pride event, he was busting out that Zeku, and he really believes in that character. And there is a lot of potential for him to beat up a lot of people who might not be familiar with the character.
The most recently released character in Street Fighter V. And of course, it'll be legal at Capcom Cup.
Yep.
So I think Big Bird is probably the best chance that we'll have to see Zeku.
Yeah.
We'll see if anybody else brings him out secretly, but Big Bird's been playing him.
Yeah, and like I said, I think he has a chance to spoil a lot of people. I'm really excited to watch Big Bird play.
I hear that. Then the next one we have is XIAN versus MENARD.
Oh my god!
Yeah. Two players I really like to watch. I really like them just as people, but I really like to watch them too.
It's like one of them has to go to losers in round one. Oh.
That's how it is, man. That's Capcom Cup, of course. So XIAN is from Singapore. He plays Ibuki now. I think he's one of the best Street Fighter players ever. Right? His play in Street Fighter 4, he won EVO, he dominated the year 2013, and he was a big-time threat throughout the lifetime of the game. In Street Fighter 5 Season 1, he played Fang, which was tough. Fang was not very strong, and even still, XIAN got 9th at Capcom Cup, he got 9th at EVO, he did well at other tournaments too.
Yeah, I mean, he made Capcom Cup, right? I mean, he literally made Capcom Cup with this character.
With this character. So, when Season 2 came out, he switched. Right? Yeah. He now plays Ibuki. And the result of that, in part of that, I shouldn't attribute it entirely, but in part of that, immediately won multiple tournaments. Right?
It's
top 8 everything he's attended except for 2 events.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, it's seriously like he went from like trying to fight you with a steak knife to a big giant katana blade now. Because I mean, Ibuki, very strong character, rewards a lot of creativity. In fact, that whole trick of holding the kunais and jumping over you and then unleashing the release and catching you on the fake cross up, I just call that the XIAN. Because like he was the first person I saw do it. Now everyone does it, but like that's the kind of creativity that he has. And gosh, it's weird because throughout the year we've talked about a lot of players like Punk and everybody, but XIAN really hasn't attended much since like August or so.
Since August, he's only attended 2 big tournaments.
I feel like people have kind of...
They're not thinking about him.
Yeah, they're not thinking about him. And I think that's going to play to his advantage a lot.
I'll tell you, that's the story of Shen's Street Fighter life. It was the same one in Street Fighter 4, and I don't know why, but he didn't get the same kind of reputation that other people did, even though, like I said, he did so well. So I think that's a comfortable position for him to be in.
Even after he won EVO, I remember people were like, oh, well, you know, XIAN, I'm not sure. But, dude, honestly,
he's amazing. I really think he's one of the best.
Good.
I also have a lot of esteem for MENARD from the Dominican Republic.
Right.
Plays mostly Birdie.
Yeah.
Very young player.
And he thinks Birdie is like really high tier as well.
He believes strongly in Birdie, yeah, for sure. Well, he does have Laura sometimes, but he does believe strongly in Birdie. He began to have strong results last year as the year went on. This year, he won a couple of things, consistently top 8, but, you know, kind of the same problem for people we've talked about before. He doesn't, or he at least didn't at the start of the year, get the trouble very much.
Yeah, But, you know, one of the things about MENARD, though, you just got to watch out for his EX headbutts. Like, this guy has the most psychic EX headbutts, I think, out of anybody I've ever seen. He lands them consistently.
Yeah, no, I love his play. He plays a character that, like you said, he believes in, but that you just don't see very often.
Right.
So even though everybody knows Birdie, it's hard to get practice against the high-level Birdie because there's only a few of them in the world.
But, I mean, I know, you know, we're trying to talk about the players, and I apologize to MENARD if I kind of shifted a little bit, but I'm sure he won't mind because I definitely want to take the time to also give a shout-out to that entire Dominican Republic scene.
Yes.
You know, between himself, Kaba, DRA, those 3 have been traveling. They support each other. There's those crazy videos of Kaba just being louder than everybody else in the audiences. Those 3 have put in so much work. That scene has put in a lot of work, and I think they are one of the biggest threats, and I'm super happy to have MENARD representing Dominican Republic at Capcom Cup.
I'm definitely with you. We'll see what he does. It's a great opportunity for sure. Next match we have is, I feel like, one of the most storied possible matchups that we got. It's HAITANI versus Sako. These are 2 guys who have been among the best players in the world in a bunch of different games for a quarter century.
Yeah.
Literally a quarter century.
Yeah, there was a random post at one point in time in Japan that tried to declare some of the Japanese players as gods.
Right.
And Haitani and Sako, both of them were in that list.
Yeah.
And they have to play each other in the first round.
By the way, that list already was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's not like they had already long since, when that was posted, they had already long since been legends. So for Haitani, in Street Fighter V, they've really taken different paths.
Yes.
Haitani, before Street Fighter V actually launched, when it was just in the beta, a lot of people thought he was the strongest player in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And
he proved that, because like at the first event, final round, he was doing really well. He was doing super well. I feel like he kind of put Nikali at the forefront right at the start.
A lot of people were thinking about him,
Yeah.
sure. And he did very well. Very consistent, very, very well. But he didn't have that big win in Season 1, that big tournament win. In Season 2, he finally got that, right? Meanwhile, continuing to be very consistent, doing well, traveling a lot, doing really well. I feel like he is one of the most consistently strong players in the world.
Right, and keep in mind, too, he just got married, too. Like, nobody knew about it, but he just posted up. He's like, look, I got married.
Yeah.
And I remember when he won that first premiere, he was like, I can finally bring home this trophy to my family, you know? I mean, but like, hey, shows right there that, you can get married and still be one of the best at the game. So.
Well, look, it's the same for Sako, right? So Sako, who plays Akuma now, again, one of the best ever. And again, he's a family man. He's been married with child for quite some time. In fact, he won Capcom Cup in 2013 in Street Fighter 4.
Right.
And he was already relatively pretty high up there in age. Okay? I think he was 39 at the time, if I recall correctly. But in Street Fighter V, he has not had that degree of success.
Right. In fact, he is actually the lowest seeded, not counting Ricky Ortiz, who got in via Knuckle to dropping out.
Right.
But Sako, remember, even up to the Red Bull Battlegrounds, had the threat of being knocked out if somebody else had qualified and vaulted over him.
Right. So he did barely squeak in due to points, but that said, you can never count on somebody like Sako. He's an incredible player.
He's a god for a reason,
Absolutely.
basically.
In another matchup, we have two players who are on very different sides of their career, too. This is going to be Justin Wong versus MOKE.
Ooh, okay.
Well, Justin Wong, one of the best-known fighting game players in the world, certainly one of the best of all time from the U.S.
Yeah, whatever we said about DAIGO being popular in Japan, that's basically Justin Wong in the States.
Right.
Probably one of the first fighting game members to really gain that kind of global prominence and fame.
Absolutely, absolutely. In Street Fighter 4, of course, ton of success, right? Lots of different games. He's won EVO in multiple games, right? Very, very strong. In Street Fighter 5 Season 1, he started off really well.
Yes.
People thought he was the best in the US for a while. He fell off a little bit after that. He underperformed at the start of this year. But, he did have some wins. He had some top 8s. But as the year went on, I thought that he got stronger. And towards the end of it, he made top 8 a few times in a row at big tournaments. And I thought he looked a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm worried about that, though, because a lot of the top 8s that he did make, he immediately went 0-2 or like 0-1. Like, he just really hasn't performed up to snuff in the top 8s, in my opinion. So, but the fact that he was making them, I think, is better than not making them.
Of course.
And another thing too is that just recently, before, one of the reasons why, in my opinion, not to try to defend the placements or anything like that, but he was dedicated a lot to his job and to his work and everything like that. And partway through the year this year, he has gone full esports. He has he basically has quit his job and. I mean, it definitely helped with the Echo Fox signing and everything like that. So he has been dedicating a lot more time to the fighting games, and I know he has people at his place right now, and they're just practicing all day.
For sure. Well, his history in Capcom Cup has not been great so far. He's been in 3 of them, and he is 0-6. He has not won a match in Capcom Cup so far.
Right. And so this guy wants to perform well.
Yes.
He wants to turn that around as much as possible. But he has to go up against Ponos MOKE.
Yeah, MOKE with Rashid, of course, is a very young player. He was really mostly an online player. And not unknown, people knew about him as being one of the best Rashids online in Season 1. In Season 2, he went to EVO this year. And he got 5th place. All right, so went from, like I said, not unknown, but come on,
right?
5th place at Evo is fantastic. Yeah. So since then, he's been traveling.
Right. I mean, every year at Evo, there's always that one guy in the top 8 that's always considered the surprise, right? And he kind of fit that bill, despite the fact that some people were expecting him to do well. That studied, but
nobody thought
people
top 8 Evo, right? So. After that, of course, like I said, you traveled a lot more, realizing how good he is, and certainly he has had continued success.
Oh yeah. So he's going to be a very, very scary player, especially part of that Rashid army.
Right. He's
been one of the premier representatives of that character.
Sure, and again, to contrast him and Justin. Justin has been playing fighting games at a tournament winning level for 20 years, almost.
Yeah.
Whereas Moke is younger than that. So.
Yeah, he's younger than that, yeah.
All right, let's talk about the next match we have. This is going to be Itabashi Zangief versus Phenom. Itazan from Japan, he plays Zangief. Fantastic player. He's been very strong in multiple games over the years, not just in Street Fighter. Strong in Street Fighter 4.
Yes.
Very strong in Zangief, of course. And then in Street Fighter 5... strong as well. In Season 1, didn't have, an incredible level of success, but in Season 2, that has definitely gotten much better.
Yeah. And, he's just one of those players that his fighting game background really speaks to the whole, just forcing your opponent to do what you want him to do. There are so many rounds where he's just playing Zangief, and it just looks like he's getting beat up. He SPDs you once, and you just know everybody in the audience, everybody watching his opponent are probably like, here we go.
Right.
Here we go. And then all of a sudden, 3 SPDs later, you're stunned, and then you're dead.
Right. I love watching him because I think he's the best Zangief in the world.
Yeah.
But on top of that, his style is fast. That's what he wants to do, right? He wants to go fast and go nuts. But there are matches where he can't. And when he plays against somebody who has slow footsies, he too has some of the best slow footsies in the world. So he has these both two sides of the character. He's super, super strong.
And it's interesting too because he's so good with Zangief. I swear, I feel like Japan rates Zangief very high. They think Zangief is like super, super like top 5 character. It's different in states and other arenas, but I feel like it's because of Itabashi. Like I feel like that's the main reason. That's it. That's it. It's like they played too much Itabashi, and they're like, this character's broken.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. No, he's super strong player, but he's going to be playing against Phenom from Norway. With Nikali, another young guy, played Street Fighter 4, Bison, very good in that game with Bison, great footsies, very, very strong player. In Season 1 of Street Fighter 5, he was a top player as well. Very good, made a great transition with Nikali, he figured the game out quickly, he had a lot of success. In this year, he traveled a lot again, very successful again, he won some big tournaments, he made a bunch of top 8s. Very impressive showing from him. He is, I think, one of the most consistent players in the world. Yeah,
exactly. And, Phenom is just one of those players that makes me happy to see. Cause, I mean, like with Moke and a whole bunch of the young crowd. Right. I like seeing him Punk, Knuckle Do. I like seeing these guys come in and start blowing up some of the veterans,
For sure.
And, I mean, that's what he's got to do here. If he's got to try to beat Itazan, he's really got to try to take out one of the veterans. But he absolutely has the chance to do that. One of his most famous things is where he dunked Daigo with the command throw 5 times in a row, Right. So, he has that ability. He has that kind of like, I'm not scared of you mentality. I will blow you up like you're a beginner player, even though you've been playing fighting game for 20 years.
Yeah, no, I really like that I think that he's not scared is a great way to put it. And he shows that he's willing to take risks. He can play very, fundamentally soundly, of course. But yeah, he can definitely go nuts, and he has a lot of success while doing it. So let's talk about the last match of this half of the bracket.
Okay.
This is going to be Problem X from the UK versus 801 Strider from the USA.
Okay.
So from the UK, Problem X playing Bison, a little bit of Birdie. In Street Fighter 4, I remember him sort of coming up into the top level part of the scene, and I thought he was kind of zany, and a little wild.
Yeah.
But then as Street Fighter 4 went on, I mean, especially by the end of it, I thought he had fantastic footsies. I thought he was just super strong all around. in SF5 Season 1, he bounced around between characters, but was always strong.
Right.
Always successful. And then in this season, he won more big majors than almost anybody,
right,
including multiple in a row towards the end of the year, and making top 8 at big tournaments at the end of the year too. He I think comes into this as one of the players who's most on the uptick.
Yeah, so, you know, it's funny that he's going up against Gustavo because I feel kind of similarly about both of them, but, like, this is one of those players that, you know, you get guys like Punk who burst onto the scene and all of a sudden it's just, like, dominating and you're like, whoa, where did this guy come from kind of thing. But Problem X has been here for a while, and to see the growth, and honestly, right now, you know, outside of, MENARD, you know, a bunch of other players that I talked about that I was really excited about to see, Problem X is probably one of the ones that I am most excited to see because he is playing at such a high level right now, and I feel like I just feel like he's kind of under the radar. You know what I mean? He's another one of those players. Like, he's so good, but yet somehow people aren't really talking about him.
I think you're right.
And I think I was asked a question one time to pick, like, I think it was like 5 or 8 players or something like that I think could win Capcom Cup. And I put Problem X in there because I just feel like he has so much potential right now and he's playing so well. You know, so I'm just excited.
You know, he does it with Bison, a character everybody thinks is good, right? Nobody thinks Bison's bad. But it's really just him who does it at that level, and I love to see his strength. I love to see his play.
I like that sense, though. It's really just him because recently he was sponsored by Mouse Esports, right? But before that, he was PXP, which was Problem X Productions,
right? Yeah,
he made sure that he got to go around to all these different places, and he worked a lot. And he's one of those players that. You know, one of the main reasons why I like him so much is because he has put in that work, and now look where he's at, and I think that's so cool. I just think that's so cool.
And by the way, he still sponsors other people to travel. That's not over.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So he's a community dude as well. And then Edo and Strider, Gustavo, like you said, is his real name. Character is Laura. In Street Fighter 4, he was a top Able player, right? Not immediately, but he got there. And of course, by the end of Street Fighter 4 and Ultra Street Fighter 4's last Capcom Cup, he was the closest person to beating Kazunoko, who ultimately won the event.
In round one.
In round one.
In round one, yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
He had a poor showing, to be frank, in SF5 Season 1.
Yeah.
Did not do well. He had some placements, actually. It wasn't nothing, but compared to his success in SF4, it wasn't there.
Yeah, I remember even talking to him at EVO of 2016. I just saw him outside. We were at the concession stands, and just the look on his face was just like he had just been eliminated, right? He was not happy, and he was just like, I don't get this game. I don't understand. I don't know what character to pick and all that stuff. And then, you know, the thing about it is this is kind of one of those great lessons for people who started with just Street Fighter 4. This is going to happen to people who start with Street Fighter 5 and get to Street Fighter 6 eventually, you know. But, like, he started with Street Fighter 4, so when he played 5, he was really trying to play Street Fighter 4.
That's the only Street Fighter he knew.
Right. And the thing about it is, what makes Street Fighter cool is that all the different games are very different from each other. And so, at one point in time, he really had to dig deep, and this happened between the 16 and 17 years. And he really said to himself, you know what, I need to stop being stubborn about how I think I want to play the game and learn how to play this game.
Right.
And now he talks about, he's like, he understands the game, he loves the game, he likes all of the mind games that go into it, and guess what? He's in Capcom Cup now.
Yeah, did very well. You know, he consistently 8th or 9th place, top 8 or 9th, I should say. Had some really big top 8s, right? Especially towards the end of the year.
None bigger than Canada Cup. When he made it in there, you saw him just get so excited because he knew he made it into Capcom Cup.
Exactly right.
That's the passion that this guy has for the sport, basically.
And even though it took him a year to get as strong as he is in Street Fighter 5, he's there now.
Yeah,
he's one of the best Laura players in the world. So that's the first half of the bracket. That's the top half. A lot of strong players in there.
Dude,
there's a lot of strong
Yeah,
players.
it's scary, dude.
We'll make a predictions episode.
Yeah. We're trying so hard not to talk about it, dude. There was like 19 times I was just like, oh, but I think, okay, we'll save that for
I hear you. We're going to get into that stuff. We wanted to spend some time talking about who the players are, what they've done, that kind of thing.
The story that they've taken to get to this point.
Exactly. And again, such a strong set of players in there.
Yeah, and again, this is, of course, for the Capcom Cup, which is going to be coming just right around the corner. That is going to be starting on December...
This is December 8th? Yep, that's right. So the Last Chance qualifier, like we said, Punk will be playing the winner of that Last Chance qualifier. That's going to be on December 8th. That's Friday at the Anaheim Hilton. December 9th, also at the Anaheim Hilton, will be when the top 32 happens.
Yes.
So Capcom Cup proper begins. That will be streamed on Twitch.tv/Capcom Fighters and Twitch.tv/Capcom Fighters 2. And then the finals, top 8, will be the following day, Sunday, December 10th. That will be at PlayStation Experience. If you're not there in person, you can watch it at home at Twitch.tv/Capcom Fighters.
Yeah, but remember the Last Chance qualifiers and the first part of that Capcom Cup is going to be at the Anaheim Hilton, and it's free to watch. So just show up there. You will need to get a separate ticket if you want to go visit the PlayStation Experience afterwards, but to watch the actual tournament, to be a spectator, it is free for Friday and Saturday.
Right, and then for Sunday, if you want to come watch it in person, you got to get that PSX.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be pretty soon.
Yeah.
Make sure that you tune in or attend in person. Either way, hope to see you.
Yeah, and if you like kind of the analysis and stuff that we talk about here, you can always find us on twitch.tv/UltraChenTV. Every Tuesday we talk about everything that's going on in the fighting game community. And we also have our own individual streams as well. You're on twitch.tv/UltraChen. I'm sorry, UltraDavid. My bad. And I'm on twitch.tv/jchensor.
Yeah.
You can also find us on those exact handles on Twitter as well.
You got it. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time for the second half of The Bracket.